they talking real loud, spreading no lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's in.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so before we get into it, let's see who all is in here, and then let's have a word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. All right, hello, Daniel, Anita Harrell, Dervis, Leon, Lady Love, We the People. All right, Desmond, Anita Harrell. Let's get into it. Queen Huey, Deronda, G-Mac, That Crazy Beach Aries. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. A big shout out to my moderators because you all know they be putting in work.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so now let's get into it. Now, before I started my live, I was posting something on X. And so I just happened to see something I thought was interesting. There was a teacher, a whole Karen, in my opinion, and she was upset because two Spanish-speaking students were speaking Spanish. And so she was upset about it and went in on them and basically told them not to do it in her class because they're talking about people. That's what she said, that she finds it interesting because basically when they're doing that, she says it makes it seem like they're talking about people. Now, why would someone automatically assume that just because someone's speaking a different language that you don't know how to speak, that they have to be talking negatively about you? Okay, I find it all interesting. It's just so amazing to me because these racist people, these Karens and male Karens, even when they travel to foreign lands, I'm quite sure that they do not know how to speak fluently the languages of these countries that they may travel to and visit. How would they like it if the people there who were, citizens of said countries, how would they like if those people came up to them and told them to go back to America? Go back where you came from. Okay, speak our language. Okay, how do you think they would like that? I'm sure they would hate it. Okay, and would be playing the victim. But so let's go to this video and then we'll get into our information on Trump. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Also, double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel if you have not been receiving the notifications.
I have both talked to you about speaking Spanish in my classroom, and now I'm the one that's being bad because I'm asking you to meet my expectations.
We didn't,
and you're
but
not.
we didn't know that was a policy. You could have reminded
I
us.
have been talking to you about it since the beginning of school. Every time you talk in Spanish.
You just
But
say,
why?
you just tell us to stop talking.
Yes,
You don't
but
like.
why? Why do you think I do that?
We don't know.
That's
Okay,
why we were like,
two
what?
reasons. One, it's unfair to other people. You're speaking a language that half the people in the classroom can't speak. So it makes it seem like you guys are talking about them. Two, today I had a girl
What?
breaking down right in front of you guys. And you guys were giggling. And then you started speaking Spanish.
Who was breaking down? Because we don't focus on anyone but ourselves. If I'm talking Spanish to her because I know obviously no one else can understand me.
Yeah.
Okay, but why? Why do that? What is the point of that?
We always do it in
Of
ceramics
what?
and like
Yeah.
like,
Okay, but
it's
I'm
just
not the
in,
teacher of
like,
ceramics. But I'm not the teacher of ceramics.
I know, but like
But
I'm
I'm
not
the
ever
teacher of
saying
just-
anything bad in Spanish.
Yeah.
Like we literally just speak Spanish like in
But
general.
that is my request. It has been my request.
Mhm.
So it's disrespectful when you don't do what I'm asking you to do.
Okay, well just like next time, cause like we
No,
just
no, no.
didn't
There's
know.
not going to be a next time.
So just because we speak Spanish, you're gonna automatically think we're talking about someone in the
No,
class.
and I understand some Spanish. So sometimes
Okay.
I do know what you guys are talking about.
We're never talking
Not
about
all
someone.
the time, and I can't pick it up nearly as quickly. But I do know some Spanish.
It's not like we're saying anything bad. So it's,
That's not the point. The point is that I've asked you not to.
yeah, but we didn't know the reason. So we were taking
But you
it in
didn't
it. We
ask
were
me. Kimberly, you didn't ask me. You
because I
didn't
feel like
ask
that's
me.
something you should also tell us. You're the teacher. You're the adult. Why do we have to?
That's right. I am the adult. And
Exactly.
you are to do exactly what I tell you when it's in my classroom.
And
If
we-
I tell you not to speak Spanish, there's a reason. I don't have to give you a reason. You're supposed to do it. Now, moving forward, there will be absolutely no Spanish in my classroom.
All right. So what do you all think of that? And then she was lying. Please pay attention when she says to them, "Oh, I do know some Spanish. I don't know everything." She doesn't know Spanish. Point blank, period. The only reason she threw that in is to try to make them, if they had been saying something negative about her or anyone else, to make them feel like she may know some of what they said. Girl, you don't know anything, Karen. Okay, she didn't know what they were saying because if she knew any of it, she would have had sense enough to know they weren't talking about them. I don't think they were talking about anyone. They were likely just talking like kids do. And because they know other people in there can't speak Spanish, they were able to talk freely because it was properly secrets. It's no different than kids whispering or passing notes in classroom. That's their way of communicating with each other in private. Now, she could have just told them not to talk in class. But the fact that she specifically said it was because they're speaking a language she doesn't understand, well, to me, that's racism, Karen. Okay, that's what that is. Okay, that's what that is. Now, the Leo says, Queen, they don't. Many go to other countries formulating homeschool groups to avoid integrating with locals in other countries that speak Spanish. Yeah, they may do that. Some of them may do that, but some of them absolutely go over there, just as a couple or whatever. But my point is, they don't know the languages to every country they travel to. And so they wouldn't like it if people were accosting them and just going in on them about it and just, acting like they don't belong there. because they do that to people. These Karens do. Not talking about all of them, but I'm talking about these Karens and the male Karens as well. They do that to people all the time, as if they own this land, and they don't. Okay, and they don't. But anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, Trump is sitting up here doing the most as usual. Okay, so now Trump says he's going to be giving people $2,000 dividend payments. Okay, let's talk about it because I find this all interesting. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen.
Jameson Greer. Jameson, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. You were in the room. Can you tell us a little about how the hearing played out?
Sure, happy to do it, and great to be with you, Maria. I spent yesterday morning in what I call the Super Bowl of trade law, the Supreme Court case on the president's tariff authority. I would say that the justices had mostly fair questions, tough questions. They certainly were tough on the government, but I think anyone who went and saw the second half, which a lot of people turned it off after hearing the government's case, the justices were quite difficult and quite tough on the plaintiffs here. As your correspondent there noted, the plaintiff's position, it has some absurdity to it in that they believe IEEPA, the statute at question, would allow the president to completely embargo trade with a country, in other words, stop trade with a country, but not slow it through use of a tariff, and that's an absurd outcome.
Yeah, that does sound absurd, that the president would be able to stop trade but wouldn't be able to slow it with tariffs.
That's exactly right. I mean, the reality is, when you read that statute, the language is incredibly broad. And the justices, pretty much all of them, noted the breadth of the language. They noted that the court starts with an analysis of the plain language of the statute. That's what you look at before you start to try to put a different gloss on it.
Okay, so that all being said, let's get into it. Now, he was basically talking about how they say that you can regulate imports, and regulating imports always starts with a tariff. Okay, that's what he was saying the Supreme Court said. But let's get into it, because Trump says if you don't like tariffs, you're President Donald Trump said Sunday that people who do not support tariffs are fools, and vowed to use the revenue generated from duties to fund a $2,000 dividend for Americans. He says people that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world, with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. This is what he posted on Truth Social, you all. Okay, so a dividend of at least $2,000 per person, not including high income people. This will be paid to everyone, he says. Do y'all believe any of it? Because I sure don't. Not a word. Now, Trump also said that due to his economic agenda, manufacturing plants and factories are seeing record investment. He also said that the U.S. will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, which is currently hovering just north of $38 trillion, according to the latest numbers published by the Treasury Department. Now, since Trump announced his Liberation Day tariffs in April, tariff revenues have climbed sharply from $23.9 billion in May to $28 billion in June, and then $29 billion in July. Total duty revenue reached $215.2 billion in fiscal year 2025, which ended September the 30th, according to the Treasury Department's Customs and Certain Excise Taxes report. Okay, so far in fiscal year 2026, which began on October the 1st, the U.S. has collected $35.9 billion. Okay, and so they have a graph showing the projected or the U.S. tariff revenues under Biden and Trump's administration thus far. They say Trump's remarks came amid renewed legal scrutiny of his trade policies as the Supreme Court last week began hearing oral arguments on whether Trump has authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, okay, to impose tariffs and whether those actions violate the Constitution's separation of powers. So a federal appeals court ruled on August the 29th that Trump overstepped his authority by using emergency powers to impose new tariffs on imported goods. The lower court said that the power lies squarely with Congress or within existing trade policy frameworks. Now the nation's highest court will decide the fate of Trump's trade agenda. The White House has previously defended Trump's tariffs as a legitimate use of presidential powers to protect the economy in a statement to Fox News Digital, saying, "We look forward to ultimate victory on this matter with the Supreme Court." Okay, that's what they said. So in that report, they said that justices had fair questions and they were tough on the government. But it sounds like they agreed with Trump. Okay, sounds like they agreed with Trump. Pearlie says, "Queen, this government is still taking taxes out of our checks. Where is the money going?" Only Trump can answer that. Okay. Because I'm sure it's going in a whole different place now that he's in office. I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay, so anyway, I don't believe that he's going to give anybody no $2,000 in tariff dividends. I don't believe that. This is the same person who doesn't even want to give people their SNAP benefits. And a spokesperson or someone for Trump's team came out days ago and tried to pretend that Trump didn't realize the severity of not giving people their SNAP benefits. This was when, right after it was reported that he was going to partially fund it. So then they tried to come and say, "Oh, well, the president didn't realize how disastrous it would be if people didn't get." First of all, how could he not realize the severity of it? That's all BS, in my opinion. And then we know it's BS basically because right after that, when the judge ordered him to have it passed out or released by Friday, he goes over the judge's head and appeals it to make sure he doesn't have to pay it. Okay? So did he really give a darn in the first place? Well, no, of course not. Okay, so anyway, but let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett went in on Mike Johnson. Adam Schiff went in on Trump. And I was here for all of it. Another thing is they're still trying to put out this narrative that the Democrats, are the reason for the shutdown. The Democrats have actually tried to negotiate with them, but the Republicans will not accept what they're asking for. And so they feel like there's nothing wrong with them not accepting the Dems offer, but the Dems are so low down and dirty for not accepting theirs. Like, make it make sense. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get into that in just a second. But first, I got to talk about the Stephen Miller story. If you all remember the story that I reported on Stephen Miller, where he and his wife were complaining about some stranger outside of their house and all of that, they wanted the person arrested and everything. And so now a Trump official accuses the judge in that case of supporting doxing of Stephen Miller in a panicked meltdown. So a senior White House official is accusing a federal judge of supporting the doxing of White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, lashing out at the judge with comments. Now, this was reported Friday. So Barbara Wayne, an activist and professor at American University in Washington, D.C., was targeted by the Justice Department this week after she allegedly posted a flyer that included Miller's likeness and the phrase that said, "No Yahtzees in Nova," and Miller's home address. Now, the DOJ pushed for courts to approve its petition for a warrant to seize Wayne's phone, but were rejected late Wednesday night by Magistrate Judge Lindsay Vala. I wonder how she got his address in the first place. Now, Wayne, who's not been charged with a crime, has maintained her innocence through her attorney, and the Trump administration has turned its sights on Vala. Oh, they're going to try to give her all sorts of problems, trying to trump up charges if they can't find any, I'm sure. That's just my opinion. Now, the position of the judge and the justice system in Northern Virginia is Stephen Miller deserves this, so it shouldn't be investigated. This is what the senior Trump official said when they were speaking to a publication under the condition of anonymity. Now, going on to say, this is just about gathering evidence to see if there should be an arrest, and the judges are blocking it. Another White House official railed against the criminal justice system over Vala's denial of the DOJ's warrant request. And despite the White House having wielded enormous influence over the criminal justice system during President Donald Trump's second term in office, well, I guess they didn't get what they wanted. They say a lot of administration officials feel it's a problem that you have to live in Virginia or DC or Maryland. That's what a White House official said, also speaking under the condition of anonymity. But the criminal justice system will not protect you and your family. Now, according to Wayne's attorney, Bradley Hayward, law enforcement has already taken his client's phone and are now hoping to have a judge approve their request to search through it. Hayward called the seizure of Wayne's phone called it as unlawful and accused the DOJ of violating his client's protected speech, saying no charges have been brought. Okay, that's what Hayward said. And he says no subsequent search warrants have been sought or been issued. State police are unlawfully holding this property. See, this is what I'm telling you all. They do whatever they want when they want. That's why when people say, oh, they can't do that, they can't do that. Well, we know what they're not supposed to do, but how often do people in positions of authority absolutely abuse said authority? Of course, not all people, but we know that there are some people who do. Okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, they talk about SNAP benefits being in being in limbo and workers on furlough. Let's get into it.
Day 40 of the longest ever government shutdown, which is taking an escalating toll on the nation, wreaking havoc for travelers with more than 1,100 flights already canceled today and thousands more delayed this weekend because of FAA restrictions. Millions of SNAP food aid recipients remain in limbo again after the Supreme Court temporarily allowed the Trump administration to halt full funding of the program. And hundreds of thousands of furloughed federal workers continue to go unpaid, facing another missed paycheck this week. Senators will meet for the rare Sunday session later today, the chamber's first weekend work session since the shutdown began. On Saturday, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blasted the Trump administration for increasing the pain of the shutdown.
For this administration to go all the way to the Supreme Court just to get out of having to pay SNAP benefits for hungry kids is pathological levels of vindictiveness. What's happening at America's airports right now is not an accident, it's a stunt. The solution isn't to cancel flights, it's to pay the worker and open up the government, which the administration could do right now.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about a complete.
With Democrats emboldened by this week's election results, President Trump continues to try to shift the blame for the longest ever government shutdown, continuing to demand that Senate Republicans kill the filibuster to end this shutdown. And in a social media post Saturday, he called on Republicans to redirect federal money that would go to insurers under the Affordable Care Act directly to individuals. Joining us now, Adrienne Elrod, former senior advisor and spokesperson for the Harris-Walz campaign, Brendan Buck, former aide to Speakers Paul Ryan and John Boehner, and Tolu Olorunnipa, staff writer at The Atlantic. Thank you all for joining us so early this morning. Brendan, something you said and you told us at this table a few weeks ago has really stuck with me, which was no matter what happens here, the majority party during a shutdown cannot negotiate with the minority party and give them anything. After Tuesday's election results, where Democrats have had their best week to date this year, or since really November 2024, do you still feel that way?
Yeah, and I think John Thune feels that way. I mean, Democrats came to him with an offer over the weekend, said, you know, this is basically a compromise from their own position, and said, give us something on this and we'll vote to open up the government. And he said, it's without question, I'm not even going to consider that. And that is just a principle. I mean, they could offer, it doesn't really matter what Democrats offer to put on the bill to open up the government. John Thune is going to say no. Mike Johnson is going to say, we're not going to put that on the floor. It is the basic principle that if you are the majority party, you cannot allow the minority to hijack the government, shut down the government, and we'll give you something for it. We will not pay that ransom. That has always been the deal. When we shut down the government, I was there in 2013 over the ACA. Barack Obama wouldn't even talk to us. We're not going to engage in that. 2018, 2019, when there was a shutdown over the wall, Democrats were not going to give anything, pay the ransom to keep the government open. It's the same principle. Or else we're going to have a government shutdown every year, every 6 months, however long we fund the government for. So I think there can be negotiations that take place. They just can't do it on the terms of a shutdown. And that's what we've had. That's been the story for 40 days. It'll be the story for the next 40 days until Democrats realize that.
So then, Adrian, let's put up the Senate Democratic proposal, the one that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer put out on Friday, a one-year extension of current ACA tax credits, which Brendan was just talking about, clean stopgap funding bill to reopen the government, package of 3 already passed full-year appropriation bills, create new bipartisan committee on health care reform negotiations. My question for you is, why shouldn't Democrats, now that we're in 40 days, now that they have proven their point about, hey, the cliff is coming on healthcare subsidies, and now the cliff is here. People are seeing the bills. Now that we've gone through Tuesday's elections where Republicans got their behinds handed to them, why shouldn't Democrats next week come back and say, okay, you know what? We'll take off the one-year extension and take Senator Thune at his word that we'll do a vote immediately after we take care of the other 3 things. We'll put the other 3 things in one bill. Let's do that. And then immediately have a vote on that. Why shouldn't Democrats propose that?
Well, maybe they will. But I mean, you just laid out what Chuck Schumer's plan is, which seems pretty pragmatic to me and pretty pragmatic to a lot of Americans. I mean, the same principle still exists why the government shut down is because Obamacare subsidies end at the end of this year. And Democrats are holding Republicans' feet to the fire and saying, we will reopen the government if you allow us to have a vote on this. It's a simple measure.
That's right, because the Democrats want to make sure they're protecting the Americans' health care. Okay, that's what I was trying to tell you all the other day when Maurice was asking me, or he was saying that the Democrats are being bullheaded and they just need to go ahead, you know, and agree. And I'm like, no, they want to first make sure that Americans are going to be able to have health care. Okay, so I'm going to this next report.
Where the government shutdown has now reached day 40. It comes after a rare working session in the Senate Saturday that resulted in little to no progress. Both sides standing firm in their political differences. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the Senate will remain in session until a deal is made. Senators reconvening in a few hours in hopes of making that happen. Meantime, President Trump proposing a compromise on health insurance payments that could end all of this, and quickly. With us now is The Hill's Zach Schoenfeld live in D.C. Always great to see you, Zach. Good morning.
Now, before we get into what he has to say, here's the thing. Now, this is reported by The Guardian. Okay, Senate Republicans embrace Trump's call from his Florida golf course to replace Obamacare amid a historic government shutdown. Some senators on Capitol Hill are working this weekend on an unpopular bill. U.S. senators are working through the weekend for the first time since the government shutdown began more than a month ago, but hopes for a bipartisan agreement on how to end the standoff and keep health care affordable for millions of Americans. It appeared to recede as Republican senators floated a proposal toxic to Democrats, scraping the Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare. Now, the impact on Americans from the longest shutdown of the federal government in history deepened on Saturday as federal workers went unpaid. Airlines were forced to cancel flights, and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance program SNAP, those benefits had been delayed for 42 million Americans. Now, as Saturday's session got underway, Republican Senators Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Rick Scott of Florida, and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana welcomed a proposal made on social media early Saturday by Donald Trump from his golf course in West Palm Beach for subsidies to be replaced by health savings accounts. So in a Truth Social post, Trump suggested that instead of meeting the demand from Democrats to extend subsidies for health insurance plans purchased through the Affordable Care Act marketplace to pay for sharply increased premiums, Republicans should return to the project of replacing the Obama-era law, which failed during his first administration. He goes on to say, I'm recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care. Now, do you all hear this? Do you all hear this? And tell me, does that make sense to anyone, please? Do y'all hear what this man is saying? So is he seriously saying, rather than sending the money to the insurance companies, hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare, that it be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care? Trump, please sit down somewhere. This is coming from the man who doesn't want to send SNAP, but you're going to send hundreds of billions to the American people so they can take it and get health care. First of all, most people wouldn't go in and get health care. That's the thing. Most people probably wouldn't even go and get health care. I shudder to think what people would go and get. But at the end of the day, now y'all know Trump is lying. Lakeisha said he's jealous of Obama. Of course he is. I mean, he just can't get Obama out of his head. And it is pathetic. So anyway, let's continue, because what else does this madman say? He goes on to say, they go on to say, Graham welcomed the proposal, which is similar to a replacement for Obamacare that he put forward in 2017, writing on social media that Trump's recommendation that we stop sending tens of billions of dollars under Obamacare to money-sucking insurance companies. I'm sorry, it wasn't tens. Trump said hundreds, Lindsay. Don't try to switch it up. Hold on. Yeah, that's what he said. Okay. Anyway, so goes on to say, hold on, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Okay, yeah, so here it is. He goes on to say that Trump's recommendation that we stop sending tens of billions of dollars under Obamacare to money-sucking insurance companies and instead send that money directly to the people so they can buy better health care is simply brilliant. Now, here's why I want y'all to pay attention. Here's how I want y'all to pay attention to the switch up. Trump said hundreds of billions of dollars. Graham comes behind him and says tens of billions of dollars. And then says, oh, yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. If you think you're going to be keeping the rest of that money and then sending out tens of billions rather than hundreds. Lindsay, sit down somewhere. Do you all remember that movie? Wasn't it Deliverance? Wasn't it the movie Deliverance? Where the guy was out there and I think he thought he was going to die. And then he started praying to God and saying that if God lets him live, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to write a check for $50,000. And then when he made it out, he looked up and said, yeah, God, he said, I'll be sure to write that check for $5,000. Not 50, but 5. So Lindsay, sit down somewhere. Okay, Lakeisha said that makes no sense at all. Exactly. Nia said the triple cross. Kyle Bayan said Obama is big bone and well spoken. Trump is neither. Okay, Timothy said Trump's a liar who lies. They have money to provide for SNAP. He's just being petty. Of course he is, beloved. We know it. And that's exactly why we know that he's not sending out any $2,000 dividends from tariffs, okay, with his lying self. But anyway, let's continue. And Trump played three-card Monty, because you all remember when he was in office last time, he sent out those $600 checks to everybody, right? Remember that? And yeah, some of these people thought he's going to be sending out free checks again, and they ran out there to vote for him. Black MAGA, why are y'all so quiet? Black MAGA, I'm going to need y'all to come to the front, okay? At the end of the day, that's what he did. He played three-card Monty, because now he ain't giving you nothing. And in fact, he's keeping your benefits, trying to starve y'all out. I want y'all to pay attention to the game. It's all a whole con game. But anyway, let me continue. So goes on to say that this is brilliant. This is what Lindsay says. Okay, he says he thinks it's simply brilliant. We're going to replace this broken system with something that is actually better for the consumer, he says. Now, Cassidy, who was a co-author of Graham's similar plan in 2017, also raised Trump's proposal on social media and stood next to a giant blow-up of Trump's post as he spoke on the Senate floor. He says, I'm writing the bill right now. Scott posted in response to Trump's suggestion, we must stop taxpayer money from going to insurance companies and instead give it directly to Americans. This is all crazy. Give it straight to Americans in HSA style accounts and let them buy the health care they want. This will increase competition and drive down costs. None of the Republican senators seem to grapple with the fact that consumers would still need to buy plans from the same insurance companies, or that Republican lawmakers need the support of 8 Democrats to reopen the government. And the idea of repealing and replacing Obamacare with savings accounts is unlikely to earn a single Democratic vote. Now, Elizabeth Warren, the Massachusetts Democrat, shared an alarmed response to Trump's proposal from Larry Levitt, the executive vice president for health policy at the Kaiser Family Foundation, who wrote on social media saying, you have to read between the lines here to imagine what President Trump is proposing. But it sounds like it could be a plan for health accounts that could be used for insurance that doesn't cover pre-existing conditions, which could create a death spiral in Affordable Care Act plans to do. Or that do. Okay, exactly. Okay, please pay attention to the con game like I told you. So in other words, Donald Trump's concept of a plan for healthcare is another attempt to repeal Obamacare, Warren commented. It's the same failed Republican plan that's been rejected by voters and Congress. We can lower costs and open the government today by extending Affordable Care Act tax credits. After his golf outing, Trump returned to his gilded private club, Mar-a-Lago, and doubled down on his demand that Republicans stop seeking compromise and try instead to repeal and replace Obamacare with a version of the plan that failed to garner enough support in 2017. Saying that, now this is what Trump wrote on Truth Social. No more money, hundreds of billions of dollars to the Democrat-supported insurance companies for really bad Obamacare. The money must go directly to the people, taking the fat cat insurance companies out of the corrupt system of healthcare. The people can buy their own much better policy for much less money. Okay, this is what he claimed without explaining how Americans would be able to purchase cheaper plans from the same exact insurance companies. Okay, make that make sense. I mean, it's all so nonsensical. And like I said, it's nothing but a con game. Now, some observers suggested that the core of such a plan would remove the ACA's requirement that insurance companies cover patients with pre-existing conditions. Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont who caucuses with the Democrats, responded to the criticism of the insurance companies by writing, saying that, oh, Trump and the Republicans can't stand how the big bad insurance companies are ripping off Americans. Really? Are you serious? Then I welcome your support for Medicare for all. Let's end the greed of the insurance industry and make healthcare a human right, not a privilege. Okay, there's a solution, but they're not going to do that because, as I told you all before, the reason we do not have 100% free healthcare in this country is because the racist people never wanted Black people to have free healthcare. They wanted Black people to be sick, have, pre-existing conditions, and not be able to get adequate healthcare. And that's just what it is. You can do the research yourself. Don't take my word for it. Now, the Senate went into recess without finding a solution, but Senate Republican leaders have signaled an openness to an emerging proposal from a small group of moderate Democrats to end the shutdown in exchange for a later vote on the Obamacare subsidies. Senator Jean Shaheen, a Democrat from New Hampshire who is leading the talks among moderates, said Friday evening that Democrats need another path forward after Republicans rejected an offer from Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York to reopen the government and extend the subsidies for a year. So Schumer on Saturday persisted in arguing with Republicans, or that Republicans should accept a one-year extension of the subsidies before negotiating the future of the tax credits. Now, doing nothing is derelict because people will go bankrupt. People will lose insurance. People will get sicker. This is what Schumer said on the floor. That's what will happen if Congress fails to act. Now, one bizarre element of the Republican effort to signal that their party is working overtime to end the shutdown, even as Trump golfs in Florida, was a social media post on Saturday from Markwayne Mullin, an Oklahoma senator. Mullin posted 4 photographs of himself and 2 other Republican senators meeting with Trump in the Oval Office with a caption that read, "Working through the weekend with President Donald J. Trump. It's always an honor to be in the Oval Office. I never take this opportunity to serve Oklahoma for granted." When Mullen failed to make clear, what he failed to make clear in the photographs is that the photographs were taken on Friday before Trump left for a weekend golf trip to his Florida resort. Mullen himself had previously posted one of the photographs in a social media video Friday night. Okay, so the gig is up. Okay, the gig is up at the end of the day. Luna said Schumer's an idiot. You think so? All right, so anyway, with that all being said, let's go back to what she's saying here. Nene said employers buy the plan and contribute a majority of the premiums. How could a person afford to pay for both prices? Hey, this all sounds crazy, and I think it's a terrible idea. And clearly, they have something shady going on behind it. Okay, if you ask me.
What changes does the president want to see when it comes to health care subsidies? Again, the biggest sticking point for both Republicans and Democrats.
Hey, good morning, Hannah. The president this weekend has been proposing that Senate Republicans pass a package that would send money, quote, directly to the people. Those are words from a Truth Social post from the president this weekend, and where he's really been taking aim at insurance companies, placing the blame on them for these rising health care costs. You see it there in the post just last night, him actually calling these companies, quote, fat cat insurance companies. Now, we don't have a lot of details as to what more the president means beyond that post, but of course this comes after Senate Democrats introduced a proposal of their own where they said that they would exchange their votes to fund the government if Senate Republicans would agree to a one-year extension of those enhanced Obamacare subsidies that have been at the center of this shutdown. Now, Republicans have said that that is a non-starter, but the president, meanwhile, has been seeing that announcement from Senator Chuck Schumer, and he believes that now the Democrats are making movement. In fact, of course, the president here has been increasingly calling on Republicans to abolish the filibuster, that 60-vote threshold required for most legislation, and bring it down to a simple majority of 50 votes. And he said that he sees this movement from Democrats as a sign that they are worried that he's actually going to be successful here in abolishing the filibuster. Now, of course, most Republicans on Capitol Hill, they've said they are opposed to that, but still there, you see the post there from the president. Hannah?
And Zach, Republicans also meeting today before the Senate session. Again, it's Sunday. What are they hoping to achieve?
Yeah, well, now we are seeing Senate Republicans start to introduce additional trial balloons. Now, before I get to what those trial balloons are, let's start by talking about what they are not proposing, and that is agreeing to those extension of those enhanced Obamacare subsidies. Senate Majority Leader John Thune made that very clear on the Senate floor yesterday. Take a listen.
Republicans are not about to further burden taxpayers by blindly extending a flawed program. The Democrats' proposal is just more of the same, masking rising premiums and padding insurance companies' profits with more taxpayer dollars. The Democrat leader's proposal is a non-starter.
So it's a non-starter, but as now Republicans return to Capitol Hill today, we're expecting them to reconvene around midday early this afternoon for lunch, and then the floor will open back up. We know that Senate Republicans, some of them, especially members of the Appropriations Committee, have been talking about a proposal that would couple a short-term deal with funding partially the government for the full year. You see the aspects of the government it would fund there on your screen: military construction, the Department of Agriculture, and then the legislative branch. Now, at this point, Henna, we have not seen the text of this package, but as we head into that Senate GOP lunch later today, that's what we would be watching for, to see if a text emerges and potentially whether the next step would be a vote.
Yeah, a few more details on that minibus. Zach Schoenfeld live in D.C. for us. Zach, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you
Okay, so one box said America is an engine. Okay, Nene said you don't get brownie points for working through a weekend. At least you're getting paid. Exactly. You know, in my opinion, Congress should not be getting paid. Okay, if other people are not getting paid during the shutdown, why is Congress getting paid? They're the ones responsible for the shutdown. Okay, the Democrats and the Republicans. So I don't think they should be getting paid. But here's the thing too. I want to tell you all about Trump talking about this $2,000 dividends, $2,000 dividends from the tariffs or whatever. He's so full of it. And first of all, he wasn't clear. He didn't even say exactly who's going to be eligible for it, how the payments would go out. He just didn't get into any specifics. You understand? And the thing of it is, it could come in different types of forms. For example, Scott Bessent said that it could just be tax decreases. Okay? So what's he talking about? What exactly is he talking about with his lying self? And also, they say the president added that the tariffs have brought in trillions of dollars, okay, and that 401k accounts are the highest ever. That's what he claimed, saying there was no inflation from the duties. The people that are against the tariffs are fools. So you mean to tell me the U.S. collected $151 billion from import duties between April and October, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he expected the U.S. to collect $500 billion or more in tariff revenue per year. For context, a pandemic-era proposal to send $2,000 checks to families was estimated to cost some $464 billion. So it's not clear whether Trump's tariff dividend would use the same parameters as they did when the pandemic measures were given. They say Trump has flirted with the idea of tariff dividends in the past, but his recent musing comes in the wake of a Democratic sweep in blue state elections last Tuesday, in which affordability issues loomed. Okay, there you go right there. I want y'all to pay attention. Now, GOP lawmakers in both chambers of Congress have largely shown little interest in greenlighting direct payments to Americans, saying it will never pass. That's what Republican Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio said, okay, whom Vice President J.D. Vance backed in a primary contest last year. He bluntly told reporters in July, okay, saying we have a $37 trillion debt. Now, during oral arguments in the Supreme Court's monumental tariff case last Wednesday, which Bessent attended in person, conservative justices hammered a lawyer for the Trump administration, raising concerns that the high court may nix Trump's so-called reciprocal and trafficking tariffs. Okay, now at issue specifically were the tariffs Trump imposed via the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which accounted for about $90 billion of the roughly $151 billion in revenue from tariffs during fiscal year 2025. This is all according to the data from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol as of September the 23rd. Now, there are other powers that Trump's team could potentially attempt to tap into, such as Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 for his trafficking and reciprocal tariffs if the Supreme Court happened to shut down his use of the IEEPA. But those other avenues are much messier and could also get slapped down by the courts. So additionally, should Trump lose the tariffs case, his administration could be forced to dole out refunds for the tariffs collected. Beyond the economic impacts, Trump has sued IEEPA tariffs for negotiations with other countries, including in his efforts to end foreign wars. Now, a decision in the tariff case is expected to be handed down before the end of next June. Trump has other tariffs in place, such as ones targeting steel, aluminum, automobiles, and more that are not implicated in the case before the Supreme Court. It looks like Trump has his hands full. And with all of this stuff that he needs to be concerning himself with, I just have questions as to why or how he has time to be out there playing golf and doing so much posting on social media like a little kid. Okay? I just don't get it. So with that all being said, now let's go to where Shifty Schiff, as Trump calls him. Y'all know Trump can't stand Adam Schiff, right? And Schiff can't stand him either, and for good reason. But Trump calls him Shifty Schiff. Well, Shifty Schiff went in on Trump. Like so, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Okay, and don't forget True Crime Sundays is today, okay, shortly after this broadcast for members only.
The interview with Secretary Besson, President Trump has called for an end to the filibuster. He says that's not the administration's position. He's also called for this direct subsidies to the American people to pay for health care. But he says that's not the official position of the government, of the administration either. He says it's just up to Democratic senators to turn around. Is that going to happen?
No, I certainly hope it isn't going to happen if millions of people are going to retain their health coverage and not have to pay these exorbitant premium increases. George, I'm hearing from people all over California, people with pre-existing conditions, people who tell me their premiums are going to go up $1,000 a month, that they're going to have to drop their coverage. They know that's really bad for them and their families. And we can easily estimate the millions of people that are going to lose access to quality care and the tens of thousands of lives that will be lost. So we need to end this. We proposed something, I think, very reasonable. It was a compromise. Certainly wasn't everything I want, which is a permanent extension of the tax credits. We said, let's extend existing law for a year, give us more time to work on this and reopen the government. And the result from the Republicans was, from the Senate Republicans, no. From the House Republicans, we're staying on vacation. And for the president, I'm going out to play golf. And that's where we are while people are hurting. And one thing that is just so shocking to me, George, in the midst of all this, they're appealing to the Supreme Court for the right to cut off food from people. Who does that? Who works so hard? Who goes all the way through the court system to cut food from people who need it right now? But that's where they're coming from. The cruelty is part of the policy.
How do you respond to the argument that the secretary made that, Senator Schumer was for a clean CR earlier this year? He's turned around for political reasons.
Well, we have a healthcare crisis that has intensified since then. And you've got people on the precipice right now who are getting those notices of losing their health insurance. And what's more, we have the president telling us now, Republicans telling us now, they're not going to honor any agreement we reach with them. They're telling us we'll put money in, whatever money we agree on for a continuing resolution to fund the government, but we're telling you in advance we are going to rescind the funding you want. We're going to cut the funding you want. We're going to cut what the president calls Democrat programs like food for people. So they're telling us they're going to cheat on an agreement. And we need, in whatever agreement we reach, to have some really solid guarantees in that legislation that they simply can't go and renege after it's done.
Now, did you all hear that? Didn't he say they said they're going to cut some of those programs? I told you all, Trump wants to get rid of SNAP altogether. He doesn't have any empathy and sympathy. He wants to get rid of it altogether. Low down devil. And they are going to renege on any agreement. I wouldn't believe anything that they said because that's all they've been doing the whole time is telling a whole bunch of lies.
There have been some talks in the Senate between Republicans and Democrats trying to forge a possible compromise. Is Democratic unity crumbling on this?
No, I think what we're seeing is a lot of cracks within Republicans, as you see now over a dozen Republicans in the House, for example, say they want to fix the Affordable Care Act problems. Those are the cracks I'm seeing. You see cracks, I think, even within the White House, as the president acknowledges that their lack of focus on bringing down costs, the shutdown and all its economic impacts are affecting him. They're dragging him down. So I think what we're seeing from the Republicans is a recognition that they have a responsibility to govern. They control the White House, the House, and the Senate. The American people recognize that, and they need to solve this. And frankly, George, it's not going to happen until the president gets off the golf course, gets out of his ballroom planning, and sits down and negotiates. Otherwise, I think this is going to go on because Senate Republicans aren't going to do anything without the president's agreement and approval, and House Republicans are just content to stay away while people suffer.
The president did make this other proposal overnight, giving the money that goes to the subsidies directly to the American people. Can that work? Will Democrats support it?
We have no idea what the president means by that, except it sounds like what he means is the same old tired proposal of repealing the Affordable Care Act, giving people a benefit in the form of a health savings account, but allowing insurance companies once again to cancel policies and refuse to write policies for people who have pre-existing health conditions. So the same insurance companies he's railing against in those tweets, he is saying, I'm going to give you more power to cancel people's policies and not cover them if they have a pre-existing condition. That was one of the main problems the ACA helped address. So no, I think what the president is revealing once again, more than 8 years after he came down that golden escalator, they still don't have a health care plan. They're still back to what Trump once called concept of a plan. And in the middle of a shutdown, when people are really hurting, we need more than concepts of a plan. Let's just extend the ACA for a year, reopen the government, and then we can negotiate a more permanent fix to this crisis in healthcare in this country.
When you were running for Senate, you came out against the filibuster. If that comes to the Senate floor, will you vote for it?
I have continued to oppose the filibuster and would be happy to do away with the filibuster. But the question is, do away with it for what reason? I would do away with it so that we can expand and protect people's freedoms and their rights. The Republicans and the president right now are talking about doing away with the filibuster so they can raise people's health care costs. That is the wrong reason to do away with a filibuster. And ultimately, what's going to protect the American people, frankly, are not Senate Republicans who give in to this president all the time, not House Republicans who are not even on the job, not the president, certainly not the Supreme Court, that is his biggest rubber stamp, but what we saw on Tuesday, and that is the voters coming out and rejecting Republicans, rejecting healthcare increased costs, rejecting a president who's more focused on his personal enrichment than he is on trying to help people who are hungry and working to try to keep their families afloat right now.
Senator Schiff, thanks for your time.
All right, so no lies detected. Trump is sitting up here being preoccupied with his gold ballroom and all of the foolishness he's doing, golf, and like I said, out here throwing great Gatsby-themed parties and not giving a darn about the American public. He's made deals with his billionaire cronies, I'm sure, and so they're holding his feet to the fire to make sure they get what they want. And also, he's going around and collecting these what do I want to call it? So-called donations where people are greasing his palms. This is all speculation in my opinion, but going around likely gathering, donations, really I call it bribes if I had to call it something, but like I said, all speculation. I can't prove any of it, but I do think that he's going around here getting bribed to do certain things for certain people and being paid nicely to do so. Okay, and the whole and do you all notice how the Supreme Court just continuously agrees with Trump? They continuously side with Trump. That's why he's just getting away with so much. It's really just so distressing. Now let's go to this video where they talk about Trump saying, we will not allow any more windmills to be built in the United States. Trump is losing it. I would love to see the actual results from the cognitive test that he's taken, if in fact he's even taken any, because him saying that he passed with flying colors is absolutely unbelievable. Okay, I don't believe any of it.
Allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing.
You might want to sit down for this one. I'm just saying, because these numbers are staggering. So sit down. Sit down. First of all, Donald Trump isn't lying. He's not going to allow windmills to be built. Now, if they were approved and started under the Biden administration, they're going to proceed. But yeah, we're going to lose 80 gigawatts of electric power just from the loss of wind turbines from Donald Trump's policies. That's got to be replaced with something. And it's going to be natural gas. How much natural gas will we have to produce to replace the wind turbines that aren't going to be built? About 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. So by 2030, we got to add 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. But wait, there's more. We also got to add about 14 billion cubic feet of gas per day for, new data centers and AI. 20 billion cubic feet per day more for LNG exports. Another 6 billion cubic feet per day more because we're shutting down coal plants to swap to natural gas. About 3 billion cubic feet per day more for rising temperatures, and that's just based off the current trend of rising temperatures. By the year 2030, we're going to have to produce 3 billion cubic feet per day more just from temperatures. I don't know if you're catching on, but all of this means we're going to have to add about 50 billion cubic feet of gas production a day in the United States in the next 5 years. In the last 5 years, we added 10. In the last 5 years, we added 10. Oh, we need to add 110,000 miles of high voltage transmission lines as well. In the last 5 years, we've added under 2,000. So we need to 5x our natural gas drilling. We need to 50x our installation of high voltage transmission lines. None of which is currently happening, by the way. We also need to add about 5,000 miles of high capacity pipeline, that's 42-inch pipeline, just for natural gas distribution. So what we're looking at is over $100 billion a year invested in new drilling. We're looking at about $30 billion in new pipelines. Oh, and we're looking at $750 billion in new high voltage transmission lines. All that has to be done in the next 5 years. And a lot of that stuff, if it started today, wouldn't be done in 5 years. What does all that mean? That means natural gas prices are going to go through the roof. That means the grid is not going to be able to handle the amount of electricity we need, because there's no way we're replacing 110,000 miles of transmission lines in the next 5 years. It's not a thing. What does it mean when your grid doesn't have space or capacity or reliability to deliver electricity? It means skyrocketing electricity prices. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea how bad this is. I've been trying to tell you, but you're not getting it. When I say the electric bills you're getting right now are just the tip of the iceberg, I mean it's just the tip, and it's a great big fucking iceberg. Yes, it is the perfect time to stop all renewable energy. It is the perfect time. Thanks.
We will.
Okay, so, Trump doesn't have a lot of common sense about any of the things that he's proposing, any things that he's talking about. He's just like a man who's gone mad at the wheel. And also, remember when they talked about the possibility of him having had some mini strokes, or at least one? Well, there's another report that came out from that same guy, and I'm going to pull that up momentarily. Dorada says Trump want us living back in the Stone Age. Yeah, it seems that way. Okay. Trump is insane, clearly. Okay, let's go to this next video. We're almost done, beloveds. Throwing lives into chaos. Massive human toil felt as SNAP funds become political football. Okay, that's what they say. This came out about 4 hours ago.
Beyond politics, it's taking a massive human toll on everyday Americans. The Supreme Court's emergency order allowing President Trump to curtail funding for SNAP food aid payments has left the fate of the program in the balance and its beneficiaries to face uncertainty.
My mom gets $25 in food stamps a month. We basically rob Peter to pay Paul. There's shortage everywhere for everybody.
I mean, they tell you you're going to get your food stamps, but then I'm hearing that it could be 2 weeks later. You just don't know.
There's a lot of people who don't have the assistance, and it's hard to try to depend on other people to help you.
And as the New Yorker's Rachel Monroe reports from Texas, even people with, quote, decent jobs are feeling the pain. Joining us now is New Yorker contributing writer Rachel Monroe. Rachel, thank you very much for coming to The Weekend. I want you to talk more about your reporting, but let me just put up one more thing from the New York Times. The headline, down to $1.18, how families are coping with SNAP cuts. In New Jersey, a single mother struggled to figure out how to feed her 2 young sons with $50. In Oklahoma, a 61-year-old woman questioned whether driving to a food pantry was worth the gas money. And in Colorado, a woman grabbed food from a Walmart dumpster. For the 42 million people who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, the country's largest anti-hunger program, it has been a chaotic, nerve-wracking week.
It's true. It's true, and it's been tough to be out there and seeing how it's impacting people.
Tell us more about that.
I was in Houston at a food pantry there that is an organization that's mostly traditionally has served people who are at or below the poverty level. And what I was hearing from them is that they're getting clients now who never thought that they would have to come for this kind of assistance. People are really struggling, and I think in some ways the uncertainty is just as destabilizing as the lack of funds. So many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck without any emergency funds, and not knowing whether these benefits are going to come, how much they're going to be, is really, I think you said chaotic earlier, and it's throwing people's lives into chaos.
And Rachel, you also interviewed someone named Angel Goodwin as a part of this piece that you published this week, who is working on processing applications for Medicaid and for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. People would sometimes yell at Angel over the phone. "I've been called every name but a child of God," she said, "but it was worse when they cried," you write, "especially the elderly. They would be approved for like $30 a month, and they're getting Social Security for like $943. Goodwin, a single mother with an 11-year-old son, also received SNAP benefits. "Little do they know that I'm in the same boat," she said. I have two questions for you about this. What do you have to say to the people who perpetuate the stereotypes that SNAP recipients are unemployed? And then, if you are a SNAP recipient and you are going to the grocery store today, or at least are trying to go to the grocery store to purchase something to put food on the table, how much money is on people's vouchers right now? Is it dependent per state? Is everyone at zero? What does Friday's ruling, the halt to refilling vouchers, actually mean in the real world?
When I was speaking to people, they had not received any of their benefits yet. And I think, I mean, again, what's really challenging here is, even as a reporter, I should be able to like figure these things out. It's incredibly confusing to me to navigate these judicial rulings and to know what to expect. People were asking me, what do you think I should plan for? Is this fun? Are these funds coming? When will they come? Is December coming? And I'd be like, honestly, I have no idea either. So it's really hard to know what to tell people. And most of the folks out there, I mean, everybody that I spoke with in this food pantry line were people like Angel, people who worked incredibly hard and often at jobs that underpaid them. And I mean, Angel is an incredible person. She was a single mother who had a rough life and had been homeless at times and had found this really hard-won stability processing people's SNAP benefit applications in Houston. So she really saw the need, how crucial these funds were for people. And but she relied on them herself, so it gave her a lot of empathy. And just having them taken away, she was on temporary disability at the time for an injury she received at work, so her income is already limited. And she wakes up in the morning and just that money that she thought was going to be there isn't there.
A darn shame. These people not having money for food to eat, just everyday things that everyone has a right or should have a right to be afforded is just so sad and pathetic. And like I said, Trump couldn't care less. He's out here living lavish and having a good time and hiding his cankles under the desk, okay, so that nobody sees them. Because Trump has some health issues. Okay, he has some health issues, in my opinion. But let's go to this video as this man explains what it seems to be the issue with Trump.
The United States dead ass asleep on camera in the Oval Office during a press briefing because he most likely has Alzheimer's and or dementia that is causing his brain to atrophy. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience in home healthcare treating geriatric patients just like Sleepy Guy. Over time, dementia will reduce your radius of self-awareness around your physical body to just around your head and face. Now, fatigue can simply be a part of aging, but dementia is a different animal. Over time, you lose the ability to be aroused or focus your attention on things that require your direct attention, like a damn press briefing in your office. Of course, the irony of all ironies, the executive responsible for making Ozempic faints in the middle of a press briefing. And here we have the commander-in-chief looking like he has no connection to this situation at all. And the truth is, he really doesn't. Cognitively speaking, this is exactly the reaction you would expect from somebody who has dementia. They've been giving him MRIs and having him take the MoCA test, not to discover if he has dementia or Alzheimer's, but to track the progression of it. As Alzheimer's progresses, it creates more amyloid plaque on the brain tissue and neurofibrillary tangles, basically altering the physical structure of the brain and poking holes in all of the automatic and normal behavior that you've had programmed into your brain for decades. And Caroline Leavitt said that the president's focus will be the ballroom going forward. That was them handing a dementia patient a coloring book to keep them occupied. Once again, he stayed behind the desk the entire time to hide his swollen feet and ankles, which are most likely from congestive heart failure and or chronic kidney disease. Oh, also RFK got the fuck out of there as soon as he could because he knows he's not a doctor. Isn't that funny, y'all? We have a lawyer who's a piece of shit leading HHS, not a doctor, a shitty lawyer. Make it make sense. With all of these signs of illness that the president has going on, I'd really say he's got 4 to 6 months left in the land of the living. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's the president of the United States.
Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that? I thought that was very interesting. And then he said RFK Jr. got the hell out of there because he's no doctor. But in charge of the health department, make that all make sense. Okay? Make that all make sense. It just goes to show how Trump just, puts anybody in any position. Okay? Just puts anybody in any position. Y'all remember when he had Ben Carson, who's a whole pediatric brain surgeon and who's very skilled at it, mind you, so much so they made a movie about the darn man. And he had that man in charge of HUD. That was so ridiculous. I wouldn't even have wanted that position. And then you have an attorney in charge of the Department of Health and Human Services. All right? He has the lady that worked for the WWE, Vince McMahon's wife, in charge of the education department. An insurance attorney in charge of being a whole U.S. attorney. Find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. Roddy said RK Jr. is loony, in my opinion. He might be. Okay, one box says, I am telling all of y'all, I'm telling all of you, do not be distracted from what you need to do for yourself right this moment. Think outside of the box. Okay, right. Well, thank you for that tidbit, beloved, and for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I know what y'all better be doing, stocking up on the non-perishable food items and getting y'all's water every time y'all go to the store, okay? And get y'all some generators, batteries, flashlights, and everything else that you'll need in the case of a power outage and scarcity of food, okay? Because, honey, we don't know what the future holds for this country. Trump's out here doing the most. Now, let's get into it. Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, do you all remember once in the chat, For those of you who remember when I did a video about Vivek and how he got his wake-up call when he went to that town hall in Ohio, trying to get people to vote for him because he's running for governor. Y'all remember that? So now something that I noticed that was real interesting in my opinion, what I thought was very interesting is that he seemed to me that he was trying to use the same talking points as Zoran Mandani. And I wasn't surprised because he used to do the same thing with Dr. Shiva. Okay, you all remember Dr. Shiva that I interviewed who was running for president at one point. He was also copying Dr. Shiva's talking points. I've literally heard him do that before, and I think I told you all about that. But now, since he sees that things are not going good for him, he wants to change his tune, and now he's trying to talk like Mamdani. We're going to get into it. But here's what I want you all to see. This is what they said to him. They posted some really hateful things. They posted some really hateful things on his X account. Bless his poor little heart. I have no sympathy or empathy for Vivek because Vivek, in my opinion, tried so hard to be a wanton supremacist and side with them that he has no problem disparaging or going against people who look like me. All right? So I give 0 F's about him. Now, this is what he posted. He said, end identity politics, to which they said, end foreigners in American politics. Then someone else said, got a better chance of an Indian finding a toilet. And then somebody else said, get the F out of my country. Do y'all see this? So hateful, so nefarious to say those things to anyone, wouldn't you think? And the irony of it all is that these are the very same people that he tries to pander to. These are the very same people that he tries to pander to. And this is what they think of him. How stupid do you have to be? Okay, you'd have to be a whole fool, clearly. Now, let's go to him now trying to talk like, say the same things that Mandani says. And then I'll go to a couple more people going in on him. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Then we're going to be out of here because I got to be starting the true crime broadcast in a little bit.
Is handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City. Democrats swept all three. There's 2 key lessons for Republicans. Listen carefully. Number 1, our side needs to focus on affordability. Make the American dream affordable. Bring down costs, electric costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs, and housing costs, and lay out how we're going to do it. And number 2, cut out the identity politics. It doesn't suit Republicans. It's not for us. That's the woke left's game, not ours. We don't care about the color of your skin or your religion. We care about the...
Now, I want y'all to peep game real quick. All of a sudden, let's cut out identity politics. We all of a sudden don't care about the color of your skin. Since when? When did this all occur? When did this happen? I missed the memo. Did y'all get one? Because I didn't. You see, I find it also interesting that now all of a sudden these things are all problems and issues that they need to stop. That's because it's all working wrong for him. It's working against him. So now, yeah, they are concerned about the color of his skin. They are concerned about his religion. Okay? They don't view him as one, though he's been pandering and tap dancing for as long as he could, boot licking and all that. And they still don't accept him. So now let's cut out the identity politics so we don't worry about your color. Sir, sit down somewhere. See how it's okay to hate on black folk and to be anti-black and say all the hateful racist things about us and people who they deem as being undocumented and all of that. It's okay to be so hateful to those people and us, LGBTQ and all of that. But when it starts being a difficult thing for them, when they start getting ridiculed, when they start experiencing racism and bias and all of that, bigotry. Now it's a problem. Oh, now everybody needs to stop. Wow, really? It's the hypocrisy of it all for me. I cannot stand this man, but let's continue.
Content of your character, that's who we are.
Did you recognize that person? Yeah. I believe he ran for president, right? He is right. We do need to focus on affordability. Although I don't think the Republican Party knows how to do that. Affordability to them means cutting taxes, which is not necessarily how to make things more affordable. Increasing taxes for people who are wealthier, like many Republicans in power, is the way to make things more affordable. Okay, number 2, he said identity politics. That's interesting. Content of your character, also interesting. In a regime such as this, which does care about your religion, the color of your skin, who you voted for, several other factors, it's very interesting that he would mention that, because I do believe that's exactly what they care about. So yes, those are the reasons that you lost. And yes, those are the reasons you will continue to lose.
We got our asses handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia.
I absolutely cannot with Vivek. Okay, he really tried it. He really tried it. First of all, here's the thing. The reason I say that he was mimicking Mamdani's talking points is because Mamdani is always talking about affordability and saying there shouldn't be billionaires, and, talking about how basically people are struggling, and how about making things more affordable for people in general. For example, when he said this, now Vivek wants to jump on that bandwagon, and then sitting up there talking about we don't care about the color of your skin. Since when?
Billionaires should exist? I think the better question is whether working people should exist. Because what we're seeing right now is, amidst this incredible wealth, we have people who are keeping the city running that have to now live outside of the city, outside of the state. There are New Yorkers who are living in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Connecticut because they just can't afford to live here. Amidst all of that, we have talk of trillionaires. I mean, it tells you where our political priorities are. And that's what is so frustrating, is that when we talk about the cuts to SNAP benefits here in New York City, the throwing of millions off of their health insurance, it's not just a incident that has taken place in Washington, D.C. It is a function of the largest wealth transfer we've ever seen in our history of our country's politics.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely take the point that this inequality has only increased in recent years. But we also live in a world, especially this city, where it is powered by businesses, by corporations that come here that hire people. Job numbers that came out just today indicating there's a slowdown across the country in hiring. Is now really the time to raise taxes on those corporations, but also to exacerbate the tensions between the rich and the poor? Or do we need each other to make this economy work?
We need each and every person in this city for the future that we all deserve. And what I would say is, it's not politics or policy commitments that are exacerbating tensions. It's the fact of inequality.
Okay, it's the fact of inequality. All right. So now we have Vivek talking about, we don't care about the color of your skin. It's the content of your character. Now he's talking about equality. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Out here stealing this man's whole talking points, honey. Okay, Dana Mitchell just gifted the Queen $100 super chat. Says, preach, Queen. I can't stand him either. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Well, let's drag in some more, shall we? Okay, because he needs to sit down somewhere. Is he serious? Ha! No, he didn't get up there and try to flip the script. Now he cares about the affordability of it all. I'm done.
No idea how a man like Vivek Ramaswamy could align himself with a party full of people who do like this on today. while he and his family celebrates Diwali, his political brethren are lighting up his comments, saying he will never be an American to them, saying they are baffled that he is even allowed to run for office in the United States because he is Indian, although he is an American citizen, saying we don't celebrate that in America, although we do. Approximately 3.4 million Americans are Hindu, so they celebrate, as do their allies, me being one. I celebrate Diwali too. And Kash Patel, director of the FBI, a far more far-right extremist, was met with the same racism. His political brethren posted like this, and like this, and like this. I will never understand how these leopards, how these men could align themselves with the leopards.
And that's exactly why he shouldn't be sitting there trying to defend them. Is he slow? Is he slow? He's sitting there trying to defend them and saying he doesn't know how they could align themselves because they're like those people. They're just like those people towards us. Fool. Why are you sitting there defending them? Okay, they wouldn't defend him or anybody who looks like him, even slightly. Okay, even slightly. Okay, is he all right? Is he all right? Somebody go check on him.
By now, y'all know I hate Vivek Ramaswamy, and that he is running for governor in my home state makes me want to throw up. I would love to know, when Vivek Ramaswamy wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, what does he see? Who does he think he is? And what does he think he looks like to other people? Does he know that he's a wealthy Indian man who's a very intelligent guy? Or is he like, if I just keep telling these people I think they're awesome, they're going to see me as a white guy. They're going to see me as an equal. When he was at that Turning Point campaign meeting or whatever it was, they ripped him a new one. I had to watch it twice. I was so happy. Ohioans, go and do your racist job. The job that you were born to do. And literally, every time he'd say something, it doesn't matter if he'd say, I'm going to give your business $25,000. They'd go back to,
but aren't you a Hindu?
At one point he had to say, I'm not running to be the state's pastor. I'm running to be your governor. Which is so weird because in Ohio, we feel it's the same thing. You're our governor, and also you need to align with everything that we're about, or you can't come in here. Ohioans are very territorial. I had no problems growing up in Ohio. I really felt I had more racist situations happen to me once I left Ohio. Only because when you're an Ohioan,
she said she can't stand him. Okay? She cannot stand him. Poor thing. Somebody go see about him. Is he all right?
So, Dinesh D'Souza is shocked and appalled that MAGA is being racist against the GOP candidate for governor of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy. And it's like, sir, where have you been? Okay, the GOP has been trying to push back civil rights further than Vivek's hairline. This isn't new. I can't, the amount of times I've posted something on the internet and had to read, I can smell her through the comments, written by somebody I promise you does not wash their legs. Countless. Also, like, this really isn't new. They told him to go back to where he came from. Yeah. I was a child walking home from school when one of my neighbors yelled, go back to where you came from. But I didn't know racism, so I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going, stupid, home. Like, you're not, okay.
No, you know that's a darn shame when his own people are dragging him. Oh my goodness, when she said farther than Vivek's hairline. Now, she was wrong for that. Okay? She was wrong for that. And so that all been said, let's go to one more video and then we're out of here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put an overlay because even though this is a TikTok, this is somebody on YouTube. Okay, hold on. Let me.
here that we found. That's the same hat that you discarded on your way down here because you didn't want to be identified. Matter of fact, you can wash that down with a Trump flag.
Damn!
Look at the abuse Vivek is getting for posting an innocuous photo with his boys. This is the S show that Heritage and Tucker have brought upon us. If this continues, I would not be surprised to see mass desertions of blacks, Latinos, and other minorities from the GOP. Unreal. Nope. Nope. I'm not taking submissions from you, Dinesh D'Souza. No, because you done cried wolf too many times. I got your complaints about Oreos being too brown, having twice the brown that it has of the white. No, we don't engage with nothing like that. Huh? Yes, they've dragged Vivek in the past. All right, fine. Let's see. Vivek Ramaswamy says happy Halloween in this post with his kids, and that's a whole lot of comments there versus the retweets. They celebrate Halloween in India. Why aren't they studying? Is assimilating with the pagan holidays the best strategy? You still haven't apologized for last Christmas when you said white Americans were unworthy of good jobs and that you wanted to replace us with 300 million Indians. I like your American costume. And here we have I don't know what this is supposed to be. An Indian truck. And landing with, I love these replies for you. Did you say America isn't racist? Love to see how MAGA treats their own. Vivek is experiencing a crash course in MAGA racism. I wonder if he still believes there are no racists in the Republican Party. Vivek, how many times I tell you put that phone down? Why? How many times? Every time you try and cosplay, you bad as the teenage kids that you love to talk about. Oh, American culture. How about your culture? You won't put the phone down and you keep getting dragged for filth by your own people. How many times you got to learn this lesson? Go back, deport. Vivek Ramaswamy faces racist abuse after posting Halloween photo with his sons. You know, maybe they were mad that you didn't use the rest of that makeup that you had on when you were at TPUSA. Yeah, when you had the light brown makeup. Maybe that's what they were looking for. They got excited. They thought you were going to do some type of clown, and then they got nothing. I think that might have been why they was mad.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Ramaswamy posted the family picture with a lighthearted caption about trick-or-treating. Still, the post quickly drew a wave of xenophobic responses from some conservative users who mocked their Indian heritage and even called for the family's deportation. That we found, that's the same hat that you discarded on your way down here because you didn't want to be identified. Matter of fact, you can wash that down with a Trump flag.
Damn! All right. All right. So they went in on him for filth, and that's what he gets. And here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention because now that JD Vance sees how Kash Patel and Vivek are getting it about their Indian heritage and their religion and all of that, this is why now, I feel like he's trying to prove his white supremacy. Remember how those young Republicans got exposed for that chat where they were just talking all crazy and saying all this racist and bigoted stuff, and JD Vance defended them. And I was like, why would he defend them when his wife and children are of a different ethnicity? His wife's an Indian. So why would he, and they were talking all this biased and racist stuff. Why would he defend them and make excuses for them? That's when I knew. I said, yeah, he's trying to fit in. He doesn't want to tick these people off because he knows if they start looking in this direction, they're going to pretty soon start looking at him. Okay, they're going to pretty soon start looking at him. That's why he was up there all hugged up with Erica Kirk. Okay, if you ask me. Wouldn't be surprised if they have something going on in the future. And then let's not forget how he told the crowd the other day that he wanted his wife to accept his Christian beliefs, basically his religion, that he wanted her to start feeling like the same way he feels about Christianity. Okay? So just pay attention at the end of the day. So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Now, for those of you, as I told you all previously, for those of you who have memberships, we're going to be going live shortly for True Crime Sundays. Okay, I'm about to share the link. Hold on, give me just a second to share the link. I have to change it to members only. Okay. So starting at 3:20. Okay, that's about an hour from now. And here is the link right here in the chat. Okay, it's so members only. Now, with that all been said, listen, I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast, and I will be seeing you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Enjoy the rest of this day. Don't forget, we're going to be talking about a very interesting true crime story. All right, so love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me?